All right. Once I see that YouTube live stream is active, we will go ahead and get started here. Should be just another minute. There we are. And Badger and Jesse, I just pasted that link inside of the chat for us as well. All
Thank
right.
you.
We are going to go ahead and get started here.
All right.
Welcome everyone to the developer event with Badger and Jesse. They are from BadgerMiners, a new plug-and-play farmer provider inside of the Chia ecosystem. And today we're going to learn more about them, their experience within crypto, and also their project, the BadgerMiners. You can ask any questions that you have inside of our Zoom Q&A. You can also utilize our Discord community feedback channel. This event will be live streamed on YouTube, and we will also upload a cleaned up recording here within the next week or so. That being said, welcome Badger and Jesse, and thank you for the time today. If you don't mind starting off by telling us a little bit about yourself and your professional paths. And for those in the audience here, and as a heads up, Jesse is a little bit limited in bandwidth, so he might be dropping on and off video for us also here. But if you can go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourselves and what your professional paths are.
Yeah, so I guess my name's Justin Kramer. Everybody calls me Badger. So my professional path, I started in corporate America working for a Fortune 500 company as a product owner, product manager. Got introduced to crypto in 2017, 2018, and definitely got bit by that bug and haven't really looked back since. My professional life in crypto has definitely evolved quickly over the last 3 to 4 years. So I started out retailing miners. I started my own cohort mining club. So basically a group of people that would combine their funds, buy miners, and mine together. That was acquired by Quantum Expeditions. So I'm now the COO of that company. And then I also am the VP of strategic art and design, graphics design company, and now the CEO of Badger Miners. So it's been a journey, and I wouldn't change anything. So
Hey guys, I'm Jesse. My professional path, I got started as kind of like a system architect and just maintenance person for a small boutique supercomputing company in Austin. And that was a whole lot of fun. But I wanted to have more impact, so I started kind of poking around in my personal time with different crypto things. When I was really young, I was into like Bitcoin and stuff back when it was like still CPU miners and all CLI stuff. That was kind of my introduction to CLI. And so I kind of came back to crypto and started learning more about like on proof of work chains and kind of stumbled upon Chia and thought it was really interesting and confusing and just got bit by the bug. And yeah.
And that is excellent. Yeah, thank you both. And it's interesting to see such diverse backgrounds and you guys coming together like this. And to expound upon that, if you don't mind going a little bit more into how you got into crypto itself. You both have various backgrounds in this.
yeah, so I guess for me, I got involved trading. So I have a math background. I'm very numbers oriented. So charts and everything like that, technical analysis came pretty easily to me. So I would day trade while I worked at my other job. And so that's basically how I got into it. And then I was like, well, maybe I should know something about what I'm trading every day and putting a couple $1,000 here and there on. And so that's really where it got to. And then I saw proof of work, proof of stake, and I'm like, okay, proof of work's interesting. How does that work? And then just kind of fell in love there and haven't really looked back.
Yeah, the way I got into crypto is pretty simple. I just was playing around on some computers at school in like middle school. And managed to get like an administrator password on some of them. So I put like a Bitcoin miner on it and then, got in a little bit of trouble for that. But I made a few Bitcoin and sat on them for a long time, and that was fun. I forgot about it for a few years and came back, and I was like, dang, these are worth a lot of money. And I sold them for, by today's metrics, not a lot of money. But that was just a really exciting start. And so crypto's always just been like a fun thing to be a part of. And it's been lately over the last 5 years or so, it's been so exciting to see different types of crypto projects and see how like crypto can really be leveraged as like a utility, not just like internet magic money, as Justin's family calls it.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, that's really intriguing, and Jesse, I didn't know that about you about getting into the admin settings of the computers, and that's a lot of fun. I have some stories along those lines also. So yeah, what got you into Chia then? I know Jesse, you mentioned you learned about it, you started following it. Badger, I know you were diving into new technologies around that time. What really kind of hooked you onto Chia and led you to decide to develop on it?
So I guess for me, it was the the fact that it makes mining accessible to everybody. So when I first got into and started my retail business, it was because people were getting scammed left and right by people saying that they're selling on miners, but not. And that just I wanted to make mining accessible to people, make maybe a couple $100 on a miner, but gives people a safe place to buy it. So that's where I started. And Chi is appealing to me because everybody can do it. Almost everybody can mine it profitably. So that's something that was really, really appealing to me personally.
I'm a big computer guy. There's a lot of big computer guys out there. That's not, but being able to like build my own miner is huge to me. And so when I was getting back into crypto, there were a few projects that I focused on, and one of them that I stuck with is Chia because um, I had a lot of fun like limit testing, like how old can I go on a system and still have it like keep up with the chain. So I was running like I had Chia running on like a DDR2 system that didn't work out too well, but but I was picking up some old like donor servers from friends and stuff and getting Chia to run on some really like old tech that was burning a bunch of power and was definitely not making money, but it was a whole lot of fun. Um, and you can't do that with a whole lot of these like big crypto projects these days. And she is really big, but you can do that. She is still something where you can really kind of build your own setup. And for me, that's a blast. And that's what really like hooked me into Chia was just how much you can like play with the platform that you're running it on.
Absolutely, absolutely. It makes me think that that "Can it Doom" meme needs to become a "Can it Chia" meme.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, that's awesome. So let us know a little bit more about Badger Miners, and first and foremost, for anybody who is participating in the audience, whether it be through the YouTube live stream, in Zoom, or through other means, feel free to utilize the Zoom Q&A to ask any of your questions, or join our Discord community feedback channel, and you can ask questions in there as well. But yeah, Badger and Jesse, if you don't mind just sharing the genesis or the backstory of Badger Miners itself.
I think I can do this. So it started, so I've always, ever since I got into mining, I've always thought it'd be cool to have my own miner. And I guess if anybody's familiar with ASIC miners, they're named some of the dumbest things. Like it's an S19K Pro plus whatever. It's just dumb. I wanted to have something cool. So that's where Badger is just a natural thing for me. So that's where we came up with the Honey Badger. But how I got connected with Jesse, so in the Voss community, I guess Jesse's in there quite a bit. I'm in there quite a bit, and then a number of us know each other in there. So I'm talking to some people and saying, I think it'd be cool to build my miner. What should I do? What should I build it on? And it came down to Chia, and I'm like, okay, this is probably the best thing to do, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So then it came to Paul, who's like, okay, I think you should talk to Jesse. And I think that the first couple conversations were several hours of us just going back and forth and coming up with kind of what we ended up presenting to everybody. Um, yeah, so it was kind of a cool thing where meeting somebody online and just your network, your connections, everything like that, really came into play there for us to bring this together.
Yeah. Yeah, from my perspective, like I was playing around with Chia hardware. I had started standardizing my own designs and trying to kind of like build a company on it, but I'm not like a big business guy. So this is kind of my first like attempt at a little tiny business. And then Justin came to me and he was like, "Hey, so you know Paul?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know Paul." And he was like, "Do you know me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know you." And he was like, "Well, look, so I want to do this. I want to make a miner, and it sounds like you know what you're doing. Would you want to get with me on this?" And just the like electric energy that he came with me, he was so excited about it. I was excited about it. Paul was like, "You guys should do this. Also, can I join?" And we were like, "Heck yeah." So it was just great
Yeah,
energy and really exciting ride getting started.
yeah, it's definitely been a roller coaster going ups and downs, but it's been a lot of fun and I've learned a lot. A lot of 3, 4 hour phone calls with Jesse and Paul trying to program plotters from across the country. So it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. And I want to dive a little bit more into kind of the diverse backgrounds and the size of your team a little bit to give everybody a perspective of, what your availability is essentially. And I know Badger, you and I kind of briefly touched on this previously, but can you shed a little bit more light on who all comprises your team, how many people there are, and kind of what is the makeup of that team?
Yeah, so our team, so we have I'm the CEO of BadgerMiners, and then we have Jesse's our CTO. And then we have Paul, who is our operations director, taking care of a lot of the back end and processing stuff as well. Byron's an advisor as well and our process person. And then we have the Mad Hatter and David are our marketing people that help us or gonna help us get the word out. And I know you've met Mad Hatter, so. But yeah, so that's our core team, and then we have our moderators as well. And there's a number of people all along the way that have helped give guidance and things like that. So it's definitely been a team effort, and that we don't get to where we're at today without all of us.
Absolutely, absolutely, completely understandable. And I want to go to one of the things you just mentioned there is to kind of the inspiration that you had along the way. Was there anything in Chia itself, any community members, any, resources that you found extremely beneficial? And was there anything else that you missed out on when you were kind of becoming involved within the Chia ecosystem and wanting to create this farming organization?
I think some of the things I definitely missed out on were the resource. So I'm a big person that I don't like to ask a question unless I've given it a good faith effort. So it was a lot of grinding, a lot of late nights doing some research, but then being able to lean on like Jesse and really just Discord communities is how I was able to kind of bring this to fruition.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. And Jesse, how about yourself on the, setting up of farms and learning more about the technology? Were there any specific resources that were instrumental to that learning period or any community members that you wanted to give a shout out to?
Absolutely. So, I mean, digital spaceport is huge. That was such a great like launching off point of just like getting a system up and running that I can start kind of twisting the knobs and pulling the levers and seeing like what other kind of things do I want to change for my system. But he's got a bunch of really great long form videos that go super in depth on different kind of setups optimized for different, different scales.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. I know I learned a lot from watching his videos as well, and it's always fun, being a hardware guy myself, it's always fun watching him dig into all the different mechanics.
Yeah, and I guess something else kind of piggybacking off of our team and resources, like our team is comprised of a number of people. I left somebody off. I have to say Warren. So that's Warren is our vice president of operations. So sorry, Warren. But as far as our team and resources, a lot of the people on our team are people that are resources for others. So that's when we were putting our team together, that was important, was making sure that we would be able to support the product that we put out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, that's excellent. And yeah, it's really cool to hear this diverse knowledge group coming together and really making a influential organization in the space here. And I want to dig in a little bit about Badger Miner and the name itself. We kind of know that you are based in Wisconsin. Is there any tie-in of Badger Miner to the Wisconsin Badgers, or where does Badger come from? I guess Badger.
So Badger definitely comes from the Wisconsin Badgers. I've got it tattooed on my leg. So I've got Brewers, Bucks, Badgers, Packers tattoo on my leg. I'm definitely Wisconsin born through and through, and definitely it's something I'm proud of. So I wanted to bring that to whatever business and company that I have, and Honey Badger don't give a so.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, and that's great. And I want to go into the pre-built, Chia Farmer, the plug and play Chia Farmer, and why is it that you settled on this specific item? I know you said one of the interests is that Chia is approachable by everybody, and what was really kind of the end decision that led to, yes, we want to do pre-built plug and play farmers.
I guess I'll give it from my perspective and then let Jesse go. So I guess from my perspective, I guess the number one thing is when I looked at the market, there weren't a lot of diverse options that were available. So there's one option that you could go to. So I wanted to do something where I could give customers another option. Now if Badger Miners ends up being Pepsi to Coke, cool. I'm happy with that. But at the end of the day, the customer will have an option between multiple companies, so they'll be able to make a choice.
Yeah. So for me, it's like I I come from a background of computing, and I didn't have too difficult of a time getting a farm set up and then getting like a different kind of farm setup with like compression and then kind of keeping track of all of that and setting up like hardware to do this or running some virtual machines, really, really getting my hands dirty. And I had a lot of fun hanging out in different like Discord servers and forums, like chatting with other people doing the same. And once I'd kind of gotten better at and learned like, okay, here's the pitfalls of like, okay, you really do need to have plenty of space for your DV to live on, or it's not going to go well. That kind of thing. Like I, I had a lot of fun helping others kind of set their own setups up, but I also like I would notice that there were some people that didn't quite get there. And it seems like to me, it seems like there's a really big community of people who really love the project and really want to get more involved, and they're struggling a little bit. And you know, they've got the interest, like, they've got the funding that they want to put into Chia, and they don't necessarily just want to hold coins. They want to contribute. They want to run a node. They want to like hold net space. They want to have their net space number be big so they can show it off to their friends, stuff like that. They want to earn Chia, all of that. And I think that, like Justin said, there's an option, and it's a solid option. And I think it's great to add more competition. And there's things I would do differently than the other option. There's things that I think um, you know, might appeal to different people. So providing an option where with Badger miners, like someone can, without becoming like an expert in, Linux or an expert in like, you know, running CLI software, they can have a really solid, really robust farmer that's running like state-of-the-art compressed plots, and is a full node contributing to the security and the decentralization of the network. I think is something that the Chia community really deserves to have available to them. And so that's something that, I'm really excited to be working with Justin on.
Yep.
Absolutely, absolutely. And going from there, if you don't mind just diving a little deeper into what your key differentiators are between yourself and other competitors. I know you touched on, the running of a full node locally and a couple of the other items on there, but if you want to go and expound on that.
Yeah, so some of the differentiators. So the number one is going to be if you look at just the look of it, it's a more streamlined design, less cables to tangle with, to hassle with, and it's really designed to be not something you have to hide. So you can have it out in front of people. You can have it in a living room or something like that, where it's not going to draw ridiculous attention or anything like that. Um, Other things are kind of going to the full node thing with it being a self-contained unit. If BadgerMiners goes away, your miner is still going to run. So that's not something that you have to worry about. So you always have that option of running your own miner, regardless of what happens to us. So you're really a self-contained farmer.
Yep. Yeah. Justin really hit it on the head. Like, um, we run a full node on board. We all do all the decompression on board. We've got like in place plans for how to, handle new plot formats if and when they come. Um, and it's a sleek, quiet, good looking machine.
And I think the number one thing, or what I think is the coolest part of it, is a feature that will be available, I was told last night, quicker than I thought. So maybe a month or so. But it's dual mining. So with it being a self-contained system, the CPU, it has excess capacity that we can mine other crypto with. So with your Badger miner, not only are you going to be able to mine Chia fully. It's not going to impact your earnings there at all. It'll be all your Chia plus what you mine with the CPU. So you'll mine crypto with the CPU and get paid in Bitcoin. So what that does for the user is it shortens their ROI time. So,
And it's optional, of course. Some people they just want it to do Chia, but the
and
option's there. It's in the dashboard. You turn it on and you make a little extra money.
it's just cool too. So I think like when they said it was possible there, I was like, wait, we have excess capacity. What can we do with it? And this is what we came up with. So yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent for sure, and great to know that you guys run the test to validate the effect on the Chia Farmer, and knew that that was actual excess capacity there. I want to go more into the user experience when they are using your software there. You've identified, okay, there are some different settings that you have inside of the user interface, and you've also mentioned that one of the primary goals is to simplify a lot of this. We've seen from other competitors the build out of brand new software to do a lot of this stuff. And do you mind just diving into what you had to do to bring a user experience to the level that you want?
Sure. Do you want me to take this, Justin?
Yes, please.
So, um, we've learned a lot along the way, and uh, we've taken the approach that we want it to be as easy for the customer as possible. So, like personally, I don't like to have to like register an account for something to have it start working, or like, even downloading an app is something I don't love doing. Like I'll do it if I have to. So currently our design is we've got basically a web interface for the miner, much like how you would interact with actually Justin kind of commented, he was like, this is like the ant miners and stuff like that. It's just a
Yeah.
web interface that runs in the miner. You can access it via like a little URL or a QR code that's on the miner. You can access it, directly via the IP address. Um, that lets you configure everything. And that interface lets you interact with your wallet. It lets you, view some health metrics of your miner and see, it pulls also just data from the pool APIs to show you how it's doing. It's simple, it's streamlined. We've got plans to add more to it in the future. But really, we don't want to do anything that gets in the way of its purpose, which is to give you access to your wallet and your miner and all the things that you need to do on your miner. So, um, really just focusing on a really, really streamlined, easy user experience.
Yeah, that's excellent for sure. What were some of the challenges you ran into while you were developing this user interface and connecting it out through the harvester and farmer?
Well, on our team, we didn't have anyone who had done much front end of anything. And so we did a lot of learning to get there. So learning how to put together like a front end on like Python that can talk to you. Because like I do a bunch of stuff in Bash and Paul is really great with a bunch of other languages. And we both kind of like been learning Python, him more than me. So learning all of that has been a blast and also like a little maddening, but really interesting.
Yeah, that's excellent. And definitely a steep learning curve for diving through that Python code for sure. Yeah, I'm curious, within crypto, within the Chia blockchain, a big focus is security. And so if you don't mind touching on what are some of the security considerations from an optics perspective, but then also from a technical side that you've gone through to implement within your mining solution.
So the number one thing that we have is nobody on our team will ever see your private keys. So that's by far the number one thing from the optics is when we were looking at this, we said, okay, what's like what are the what's table stakes? What do we have to do? So that's number one. You can't let anybody see that. You just can't. So that's obviously the number one thing. And then I think Jesse can dive more into like the technical stuff as far as keys and how that's how we ensure that.
Yeah, I mean, we follow standard practices with keys, so none of us ever look at any of the keys. The keys just go onto the farmers themselves and onto the drives in those farmers. The public keys, the public keys required for plotting live in our plotters for a little while, but those are just public keys. So and then so security for like the rest of it. So with everything being self-contained within the farmer, it makes security kind of a lot easier to manage. So we don't really have to worry about like if we're running a server that's doing like we don't really have to worry about too much security between like harvester and farmer or even like like decompression software and the rest of the farmer and the harvester because it's all happening in the same box. So the box only communicates with the outside world to like grab updates and to communicate with the Chia blockchain, not much else. So we don't need to like open any ports for anything, which I don't think you really need to do that in many instances with Chia, unless you're like running your own harvester and farmer in different locations. But yeah, the way that I mean the way that Chia set up makes it really easy to work with, being so like self-contained when you're running it all in the same system. So yeah, it makes it just working with Chia has made security not too difficult to work with. Some of the other like projects I've worked with having to like open ports and stuff, it gets a little hairy. It's really nice that yeah, like with Chia, like the customer has the option to open the port to the full node to contribute to just making it easier for other nodes to sync. And so we've made sure that that port goes straight to just the Chia software and can't get like trailed off to anything else. But I mean, still, there's not a whole lot of stuff going on there that doesn't need to be particularly secured anyways. So, I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is hats off to the Chia team for making it really easy to like build a node around it or to build like a system around this node without like too many security trip ups to worry about.
I was just thinking, I don't think we've had too many like we talked about security a lot, but I don't think we've had any like groundbreaking or earth shattering things where you're like, this is going to be really hard to do. You're just like, nope, we need to do it. And you do it. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And to that point on the security side and pulling in new data to the miner itself, what are your plans for handling upgrades and updates to the software?
So we've got our own like update, we've got our own repository and updating system, and we've got our own like checksums that are at a different site with different person has access to those checksums. So we've got a pretty standard updating process for all of the BadgerMiners software that's running on there, and we're built on our own fork of Debian. So everything else that we get, we just get from like the Debian repositories. So not a whole lot to worry about there. We made it not too hard for ourselves. I've learned from some other builds for other projects that were a lot harder to maintain, where I had to like deal with more of the updates. But yeah, it's not too hard.
Yeah, so this was built with simplicity in mind, not just for the user, but for us. So the less crap that we have to deal with on the back end, the more time we can dedicate towards letting Jesse develop the next Badger miner or whatever we come out with next. So just trying to take as much off of our plate from the beginning, from our foundation as possible, and building with that in mind.
Absolutely. Oh, that's excellent for sure. And very reassuring that you guys thought through that entire process for potential supply chain attacks and all that wonderful stuff as well. Now, Jesse, you did mention in there that BadgerMiners has its own repo that it's pulling from for the updates itself, which would lead one to the assumption that you had to do some modification to the core Chia code in order to make things work with your system. Without going into too many specifics that might be proprietary or lead to some coup de grace of your own, what are some of the things that you guys had to do to adjust or alter the Chia code base to make it work in the system?
So almost nothing. So we haven't really changed the Chia code very much. In the future, we might want to try to optimize certain things. I've got good relationships with some other developers who have worked on the Chia software and have their own forked versions of it. Um, it's not super high on our to-do list because the Chia software as it is working pretty well. So our repos are really just for like the software that we have running around the node that is for like the user interface and just the other stuff that keeps the hardware running how it should.
Yeah. So I got a question for you, Brant. What would
Yeah.
you like to see from us or other plug and play miners?
Oh, excellent question. Excellent question. And I'm gonna, kind of answer it twofold. I'm gonna answer it what from a CNI role, what we definitely appreciate, and then I'll also answer it from my own personal farming experience. And from a CNI role, it's great to see competition in the market. I think it was even Gene who had said himself previously that CNI doesn't really have the intention of always having the absolute best harvester out there and the best farmer and the best mining solution. And that's why it really is the reference client. It's, hey, here's the reference client, go out there, make things more optimized, and really build it for that niche market that you guys want to focus on. So without saying too much or tweeting too much from a CNI side, I think that having the additional competition and bringing in other options is key, and it's foundational for a growing ecosystem like we have. Me on a farmer side, I think one of the really unique things that you guys bring to it is that ease of access with a little bit more common of a system itself that one might be able to repurpose for other things. And my entrance into Chia was always, I can't wait until the day when I can just go to my grandma and say, hey, download this and hit start, and it just goes for you. And it sounds like you guys are essentially getting to that point where it really is plug and play. And I know we have other providers in the ecosystem as well. Shout out to Dylan and the team at Evergreen who have done a great plug and play system there also. And I think that is going to be really crucial for that farmer adoption within the ecosystem of Chia is that plug and play that, the user, I always phrase it as sending an email. And when you send an email, you don't tell people, hey, I'm going to use a text editor to transpose a document that I'm then going to encrypt and send through an SMTP server for you to pull down through a POP3 or an IMAP and then decrypt. And, we don't talk like that. We just say, I'm going to send you an email. And I really think that's what's going to end up happening with the Chia software. And entities like yours are going to bring us more to that point for that streamlined user interface. And of course, basing it around the reference client is just it's a cool thing for me, from a development perspective and the way that you guys have built that out to wrap around that actual Chia code to streamline the user experience, provide that reassurance that, oh, wait, this is the actual code you're using, but then also still provide the user experience. I think it's really cool. But yeah, thank you. That's an excellent
Yeah,
question.
I got more for you after, so we'll hang out.
Sounds fun for sure. And kind of on that point, you guys have gone through this process of learning about Chia in your own unique ways. You came together on a conjoined forum. You met with a whole bunch of other people from different backgrounds, created this organization, and that took time, process. I'm curious as to what your thoughts are from that process of going through it. Any recommendations you have for somebody else who wants to get involved in Chia, might want to build out a plug and play miner, and then also what your thoughts are for future development within your company.
What was the first question? I got excited. I got excited about the second.
I know, real excited, real excited. You kind of your process throughout
Oh, okay. Yep.
developing
Yes.
BadgerMiner, what things you learned from it, and what you would recommend to other developers trying to do the same thing or something.
Um, the number one thing I think is for me, every team I've built, so I've got a couple companies, like I said, and every team that I have is a diverse team. So everybody's skill set overlaps a little bit. Everybody, Jesus, this is gonna be a second. Hold on. Everybody's skill set overlaps a little bit, but not so much as to step on toes. So everybody has their lane, everybody has their job that they're very good at and their expertise. So that's the number one thing is your team. Um, and number two is clone Jesse, because Jesse is just he's incredible at what he does. Like when him and Paul are talking, and when they really get going, like my eyes glaze over. I feel like my wife when I talk to her about crypto and her eyes glaze over. Like they get real into the weeds and stuff like that. So I mean, they know you have to have a team and you have to have a developer like a Jesse or somebody like Jesse that you can reach out to and let them lean on.
Yeah, you need a good team. I definitely can't do this on my own. I need a Justin to kind of like have the vision. We both need a Paul to like rein us in and, help us like understand, like see what we're not looking at, all that stuff. Like having friends that fill your weaknesses is, I think, the strongest position that you can start in.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing too is to take your time with it. Don't rush. I guess my number one rule is when I make a big decision is if almost any decision in this when you're doing a business like this can wait 12 or 24 hours. So sleep on it. And if you have the same opinion the next day, that's cool. And then have an appetite to learn and don't be afraid to make mistakes. I've definitely led us down some paths that weren't the right ones, but we learned from it and we pivoted and we adjusted. So it's something that you really need to just accept that failure is a part of it. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, excellent recommendations for sure, and
and
definitely great that you guys found such a cohesive team.
yeah, and as far as the future of our company, I guess I'm really excited. My dog's excited too. I am really excited for the iterative enhancements that are coming. Like I said, number one is dual mining coming, where you can mine Bitcoin along with Chia, but other things too. So I don't want to give away some of the things that I've been stewing on Jesse, but yeah, there's definitely enhancements coming. There will be some UI enhancements, some feature enhancements for sure. And I'm just excited for what's coming. And I think people are just going to think it's cool. I think people are going to think the cool factors there for it.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just think it's really cool to be a part of to be building on a project like Chia that seems to just like inspire so many different like grassroots projects. Like it seems like people really enjoy building stuff on Chia, and I can see why. Because I mean, Justin and I and Paul were all having a blast.
Yeah, that's fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, thank you both very much. I just want to do one last call out to any participants in the audience. If you do have any questions, feel free to post them in the Zoom Q&A or utilize the Discord community feedback channel, and we'll make sure that those get asked. We're getting close to the end of my questions for Badger and Jesse, so I'll have a few more here, and then we'll get things wrapped up if no community questions make it through. I We've spent a lot of time here discussing miners and the plotting and the farming aspect of Chia. But you guys are involved in more than just that aspect of Chia, obviously. And Badger, you've mentioned, you do a lot of trading, so you've seen a lot of how the trading side of Chia works. So if you guys don't mind just talking about what are some of the other features of Chia that intrigue you, and how do you see that compared to other ecosystems?
So I think the number one thing about chia or farming chia for me is so with ASICs or kind of having an ASIC background, an ASIC miner is good for anywhere from 2 to or even less year, 2 to 5 years, something like that. And then after 5 years, you either have a halving or more other miners come out that make it obsolete. With chia, you're you're always for the most part, unless you have an astronomical electric rate, you're always going to be able to mine profitably. It's not, you're not going to have a halving and then all of a sudden, oops, I have to turn off all my equipment because it's not profitable. Is it less profitable? Yes, but you're still profitable. Like that's something that was really appealing to me as somebody who has, how many do I have in the basement? I've got 6 miners in the basement. They're paperweights. So and that's me knowing I bought them knowing that eventually they would get to that point. You really don't have that with Chia. So that was something that was interesting to me.
For me, it's the chain tech itself is really cool. And I'm gonna preface everything here by saying I'm not an expert in like NFTs or like um the things that I think are really cool about Chia. Um, but without being an expert, I can still see like the purpose and the advantage. So like Justin hit on, the power efficiency is really huge. From like a from like a project scale view, that's really huge because as a society, as we if we want to implement more and more things that rely on cryptocurrency chains, we need chains like Chia that can scale without just like burning more and more power as like the incentive for scaling. Where like NetSpace hard drives, they're not crazy, power hungry. And also like Justin hit on, they don't really go obsolete. Or they don't go, I mean, obviously technology goes obsolete, but hard drives don't go obsolete in like 2 to 4 years. Hard drives go obsolete in like, 10 to 20 years, sort of. Sometimes longer if hard drives are useful. They're a thing that exists for a purpose outside of just farming chia. So that's really exciting. The insane decentralization of chia, like the number of nodes and the distribution around the world, is super exciting to me. Um, the ecosystem that's built on Chia Lisp and the all the abilities, the capabilities, I mean, of Chia as a chain for being able to like bridge and natively host other tokens. Again, not an expert, so if I'm saying things that are a little incorrect, forgive me. But I've learned a lot from some big community members who are experts in this stuff, and it's really exciting to see like how Chia was built, like um, with the intention of like scalability for like really big like public reasons, to be like a public utility that works and that can do kind of whatever I can imagine I would want to do on a blockchain one day, you know? So
Absolutely, most
that's my
certainly.
answer.
Oh, that's great, and thank you. It's always interesting to hear where people's eyes go when they start to get into the Chia ecosystem and what fascinates them because there's so much cool technology that's being built, and you guys are proof positive of that with the plug and play mining solution as well. And we do have a question. I believe this is from BW Free, and it goes to the BTC mining aspect, the co-mining aspect that you identified, Badger. Um, Essentially asking for a little bit more clarification, but the question is, what is being used to mine BTC?
So the CPU, the extra cores on the CPU will be used to mine a altcoin, and you will be paid in Bitcoin.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Is there any insights into kind of the technology behind how that co-mining works that you wanted to share, Jesse?
Um, I'm actually not the lead, I guess, developer behind the co-mining aspect. I'm just going to be tying it in. Well, Paul and I will be tying it in. So that's kind of where Warren's really dipping his toes into the tech. But we're going to be using something like, do you remember the platform?
Unminable.
Yeah, so
Unminable.
we'll be using Unminable. So the software will be using that, and it'll be picking an altcoin and then mining that altcoin on the CPU and then paying that out to a BTC wallet that'll also be, on the miner. So nothing too crazy, nothing too complicated. Just simple,
No.
easy.
Mhm.
Turn it on and, make a little extra money.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for those out there who are unaware of unminable, it's essentially a plug and play mining solution as well that's software based and allows you to start going through different altcoins. And then at an enterprise level like you guys are doing, you can adjust how the payments go through, and definitely a cool thing to integrate, and very reassuring that you guys took the time to run those tests and make sure that there are going to be no conflicts or issues of running that alongside the Chia node. All right, I don't see any additional community questions. So what I like to do near the end here is I like to open it up to you guys. We've had a whole bunch of questions for you. We went through your history throughout your actual professional path all the way up to where you're at now. And I just want to know, is there anything we didn't touch on? Is there anything else that you want to share with the community about yourselves, about Badger Miner, or your experience with Chia?
Jesse?
I'm seeing if I can think of anything.
Yeah, that's
We went
nothing.
pretty in depth.
Yeah, nothing really comes to mind. I guess the biggest thing is to shut my dog up, number one. But number two is to join our Discord. Our website will be live here by the end of the week. So you'll have all the bells and whistles and information that you'll want to have there. Otherwise, in the meantime, join our Discord, ask us questions, engage with us. Our moderators are itching to talk to somebody besides themselves. So having this interview, I'm hoping that we get some more people in there for them to interact with and chat with. But yeah, I'm excited for this. This is a lot of fun, and I really appreciate you guys having us.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you very much for taking the time to meet with us and working through the reschedule. Much appreciated there. And if you don't mind, as a last thought here, just shedding a little light on the timeline of events. You do have the Honey Badger available, and if you don't mind sharing kind of timeline for new products or different implementations.
Yeah, so the timeline for this, so this will be available for pre-order here at the end of the week, like I said. And then, geez. So this will be available for pre-order by the end of the week. We aim to ship our first units by the end of the first week of June, so around June 7th. We'll begin shipping. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much it. And then we're just gonna keep plugging away. And I guess the number one, another thing too, is we are capping our orders at 100 units. So after that, you won't be able, you'll have to wait for the next batch. But yeah, we want to cap it at 100. We tried to pick a number where we were confident that we could um, source equipment for it and deliver the product to the customer when we say we're going to. That was the number one thing. Was I'm all about setting expectations and meeting those expectations. So when I say that I want to deliver by that first week of June, when we start taking orders here at the end of this week, that's what I mean. So
That's excellent to hear for sure. And as you mentioned, Badger, if anybody in the audience does want to reach out to the Badger Miner team, feel free to join their Discord. I know they're also inside of the Chia Discord, and the user Warren Peace, I believe, is one of your moderators. If you guys did want to post your
Warren is the brains behind dual mining.
Gotcha. There we go. So that is Warren. Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, Warren, if you wanted to go ahead and add the Discord link to the Promote Community channel inside of the Chia Discord, you can definitely add it there as well. And that'll be a good way to link it across the rest of the server there. But thank you guys for taking the time today. And thank you to all the participants who had some excellent questions for us. Jesse, Justin, really appreciate you guys taking the time. Everybody else on the Badger Miner team, thank you for coordinating with me throughout the last couple of weeks as well to help make sure that this event went off without a hitch and to help with the rescheduling. And we're very excited for some events that we have coming up in the next 2 weeks. So anybody else who is in attendance, please keep an eye on our X account as well as inside of our Discord server for more information on new events as they're coming out. This event was recorded. It will be on YouTube and available. The live stream version will be available immediately, and we will upload a cleaned version here within the next couple of weeks. Thank you all for taking the time. I'm going to go ahead and close out this room. And Badger and Jesse, I will go ahead and connect with you guys again here offline to further discuss the other questions that we had there. But
All right.
thank you guys for a great day.